The dust settled on week 7 of the college football season, already halfway through the regular season, and it hurts our soul. But with that being the case, we have to do what we do every single week on this show and give you our nothing but ball rankings after the college football Saturday. If you're new to the show, 1, welcome. 2, make sure you're subscribed. It's college football, nothing but college football all year round. This is a college football show for people that watch the pregame show and then watch ball all the way until 2 in the morning when Hawaii's finishing up their business. We're college football sickos. You're a college football sicko, so make sure you're subscribed. But the nothing but ball rankings are meant to give you a picture as to the best 11 teams in college football plus your G5 auto bid as it stands right now through 7 weeks. So with that being the case, let's waste no more time and get right to it. Once again, the G5 rep, USF, waxed UNT. Just continuing to handle business. Memphis has made a very strong case to be in this spot here in the future. When they play each other October 25th, at Memphis, mind you, we may see some changes in the nothing but ball rankings. But assuming USF holds serve in this spot now, USF has got the crown. They got 2 ranked wins to their name when they got them. It is what it is. USF still the G5 rep after week 7 of the nothing but ball rankings. At number 11, we got some movement now, got some action. Red River Madness, Oklahoma, clocking in at 11 for me. Now, the problems are the problems in Norman. The problems are you got John Mateer with some hardware in his hand, which you don't love. But the bigger problems are you can't find a way to run the football with someone not named John Mateer. And with John Mateer not being all the way full strength, I don't like the way that looks for Oklahoma. I don't. But even with that being said, I'll say what I've always said about Oklahoma. They are the crazy person of college football. I don't know what I'm going to get every single Saturday from them here going forward, but I promise you, I would not want to be locked in a room with them for 4 quarters. Oklahoma, still with Mateer, still with that defense, still with those weapons. I think they're always going to have a chance. The one loss to Texas in a game in Red River where you got a block in the back on a punt return, it is what it is, man, like kind of a palms-up situation. I'm not putting too much of a reaction into Red River to drop Oklahoma out of my top 12, top 11, if you will. So Oklahoma, number 11 in our nothing but ball rankings as of this week. Now, number 10, up a spot from last week. How about Tennessee? Well, Tennessee, you fly a little close to the sun against Arkansas, a little bit Icarus-y, if you catch my drift there. Would like to see them be a little bit more definitive. It is what it is. We are about to find out a lot about this squad when they play Alabama next week, and that's going to be awesome. But I can't rule out the potential for this team any given Saturday of them just having we're going to score more points than you script. Like defense, would like to see y'all get a little bit more healthy, a little bit more dependable. But even with that being the case, you are currently top 10 in college football in yards per play. Top 3 in college football in points per game. Why is that? Because you're also top 10 in college football in yards per pass. The staple of Josh Heupel's offense, we're going to run the football, go tempo, spread you out, create a nice little light box for us to pound you with. And when we do that now, we get matchups on the perimeter, and we eat those. Joey Aguilar, to this point, has eaten those, and that could be the way that Tennessee gets down the rest of the year. You would hope the Tennessee defense gets it rolling, but Tennessee at this point in time, I wouldn't want to play them. I don't know what they're going to be here going forward. They feel a little bit, kind of spin the chamber and see what happens when you watch the Vols, but we'll find out a lot about them when they play Alabama next weekend, but number 10 in this week's rankings. And number 9, I got Georgia. A lot of ways to look at the Auburn game. You say, well, Georgia started slow. They were fortunate to win. I think Kirby Smart would say the same thing as you if that's your approach to it, quite frankly. I'm just saying it was a weird spot. It's a weird place against a weird team that's super talented but not been able to finish out games and find a way to seize games. That's Auburn. That's not Georgia. Georgia finds ways to win football games. This is kind of becoming a trait for them under Kirby Smart. It's been a trait for them under Kirby Smart, quite frankly, but this year you find a way. You start slow against Tennessee, storm back, get a win in overtime. Start slow against Auburn, could go down 17-0. Kirby Smart says, I don't care. Take your 10 points. We'll find a way to make a play on the goal line. Should it have been a touchdown for Auburn? Maybe, but guess what? When you win the competitive plays, you got some extra juice to you, and you practice the way that Georgia practices, some of those breaks fall your way. So this is not an Auburn referee segment. They probably have their own beef to be had, and I hear that. But Georgia in the second half pitched a shutout and bossed up offensively enough to win the football game. Cannot wait to see what they are when they play Ole Miss next weekend. That'll be a real good litmus test for Georgia and a real good litmus test for Ole Miss, who just so happens to clock in at number 8 in our nothing but ball rankings. Now, Ole Miss, a few spots down for us from what they were a week ago. We could go. Ole Miss, I don't love the bad look against Washington State. That makes me nervous. The reason why that makes me nervous, it screams the idea that you took the LSU win, felt good about yourself, and maybe read your press clippings a little bit too much. That's kind of been my concern with Trinidad Chambliss. He's been awesome. He's been a psychopath. However, he did play D2 football a year ago. Now I love D2 football. I respect D2 football. However, D2 football is a different brand of ball than the SEC. So at what point in time do we see Trinidad Chambliss turn back into a pumpkin? Does that happen? Hasn't happened yet. Almost happened yesterday. It is what it is. Can you reset is the big question for Ole Miss. It's funny because in modern college football, you hear coaches saying things like culture doesn't matter anymore. You can't have a culture anymore with the portal. Well, culture is going to be what determines if Ole Miss goes and plays for an SEC championship or not. Because they will have to now reset week in and week out, win or lose, at Georgia, at Oklahoma, South Carolina, Florida, at Mississippi State. If you can reset effectively, whether you beat Georgia or lose to Georgia, that's going to be important to how you play against Oklahoma on the road. Like, that's going to be what determines what Ole Miss does in the postseason this year. They got all the pieces. We saw that against LSU, but can you reset? Can Trinidad Chambliss stay at cruising altitude? Remains to be seen. But Ole Miss, number 8 in this week's Nothing But Ball rankings. Now let's have an uncomfortable conversation about Texas Tech. They're number 7 in our rankings. Texas Tech's at number 7. They can win a national championship. That makes some people squirm a little bit. JD, that logo? One, they switched up the logo. I don't know if it's a good look during the season to do that when you're winning the way that Texas Tech is winning, is what it is. JD, they're in the Big 12. Are we sure that Texas Tech can play for a national championship? That's my feel on it right now. My feel on Texas Tech is they are as good as they look. Now, the filter isn't the SEC or the Big Ten, but quite frankly, I don't care. Their closest margin of victory is 24 points against an undefeated Utah team at their place and undefeated Houston team at their place. That's their closest game they've played. And both those games were definitively Texas Tech's football game in the second half. Didn't even feel like it was as close as 24 points. They are fly swatting teams, not just beating, swatting teams. They are the number 1 team in the country when it comes to yards per carry allowed, less than 3. They're nasty up front. They're elite at quarterback. They're elite, quite frankly, at quarterback into their 2 deep, in my opinion. Texas Tech can win a national championship. Hear me clearly. They have those pieces. They're not just good for a Big 12 team. They're legit good. Texas Tech at number 7 in this week's rankings. At number 6, I got Oregon. Let's not do the whole, well, how good are they really after they lose to Indiana at the crib? I think Indiana's really good. Let's make that very much so clear from the jump here. The easy thing to do now, if you're trying to detract from Oregon, you say, well, you lost to Indiana and you beat Penn State at their place, but how good was Penn State really? Listen, when you got that win against Penn State, they were in a very different emotional place. I believe when you had the whiteout at their back and they're undefeated and all those things, it kind of built to that kind of a spot for James Franklin and that team. Trust your eyes with Oregon. Dante Moore's really good. That defense is still really good. You lost a matchup game to Indiana off a bye week if you're it is what it is, man. It's college football. I don't think many teams are going to go unscathed in the future of this new era of college football with conference realignment. Oregon's still really good. They lost to, I believe, a very good Indiana team. I'm not docking them too much when it comes to this week's rankings. At number 5, I got Alabama. High character win. High character win over Missouri. You had the mixture of letdown spot after 2 emotional wins over Georgia and Vandy, and then you had the look-ahead spot at 11 a.m. kick for a game against Missouri where you play Tennessee next weekend. Bama handled that really well. Violent team in Missouri, great front 7 team in Missouri. Missouri kind of flustered Ty Simpson a little bit in this one, and he did not flinch. He bounced right back. Cyborg stuff from Ty Simpson. That throw on 4th and 8, maybe the throw of the year to this point. Just gutsy, gritty, plays with conviction. That team follows it. If I'm Kalen DeBoer, I'm never taking that black hoodie off my body. Notice what I did not say. I did not say he's taking that black hoodie ever off his body during a college football Saturday. I mean ever. Because when I have that thing on, I'm a different person. We win. 12-2 to this point, wearing the black hoodie of death. Like a Sith Lord out there is Kalen DeBoer. We'll see what the package is for Caden Proctor against Tennessee when it comes to his touches. But Alabama is looking very Alabama-ish right now, and I got him at number 5 in our rankings. Now, number 4, I got Texas A&M. They're a freaking bully, man. I feel probably the best about A&M fighting any style of fight in college football as I do about anybody else across the country. You're saying, JD, well, why aren't they higher in your rankings? Well, give us some time here. We'll see what they are over the course of an entire season. But they're undefeated, and they have dominated in the second half the last 2 weeks. Texas A&M has outscored their opponents the last 2 weeks in the second half 37-9. That is anaconda squeeze. That is having killer instinct. That is quicksand kind of stuff. A&M is able to put you in a chokehold and apply pressure. That dog will hunt. That way of winning for A&M is going to be something you can repeat. Doesn't matter where you play the game. Parking lot, in Death Valley, if you go play that game on Mars. The way that A&M plays football on the line of scrimmage, violence will travel. And then to put a little cherry on top there, to make them just extra lethal, you also have Mario Craver, Casey Concepcion, and Marcel Reed in the passing game to make you explosive. Mario Craver coming into this game against Florida was top 10 in America in receiving yards. Newsflash, A&M is multiple. They can win any style of fight. They're a freaking bully. Now, our top three. Number 3, we got Indiana. There's no qualifier for Indiana either. They can win a national championship. They're just good. And I know our college football brains are conditioned to think, Indiana, that logo, basketball, Hoosiers, March Madness, candy cane pants, awesome. No. Indiana's a wagon. Indiana is not like this new spunky kid on the block that is winning games because they have this super exotic new style of offense they're running and they got this, do more with less mentality. Like Indiana won that game against Oregon yesterday based on matchups, based on Fernando Mendoza delivering dimes to Surratt, dropping wholesome interviews after the game, and that defense bowing up in that front seven and giving Dante Moore problems. That was how they won the game yesterday. Nothing tricky about it. Nothing extra secret sauce about it. Wow, they just got this next level kind of scheme. They're just beating teams because they're more tricky than them. Like, no, Indiana's winning matchup games. They can also win a national championship. Can you imagine a world where we have Indiana playing Texas Tech for a national championship? Our brains would break. But I'm here for it. Indiana looking like they're going to play for a Big Ten title potentially the way they're trending. And they are a number 3 team right now in college football for my money. At number 2, I got Ohio State. Here's the scary thing about Ohio State. They're still ramping up. In college football, your strength program is designed to have you give your max output on either test day during the offseason or going into fall camp, your max output when the season hits. Ohio State is still ramping up. Like, their test day isn't until they play Michigan at the end of the year. When they get to the college football playoff, they're still ramping up, and they're rolling teams. They rolled Illinois yesterday. That defense is ridiculous. Julian Sayin had his lowest completion percentage since the Texas game, 70%. He's been phenomenal. And the thing with looking at the box score for Ohio State versus actually watching them, you look at the box score, you say, well, they didn't really dominate that much on the ground, did they? They were good, but they weren't dominant. Well, Julian's saying he was efficient, but he wasn't lighting it up through the air. Ohio State had 3 drives offensively of less than 35 yards. Scoring drives for touchdowns, mind you, less than 35 yards. A lot of short fields. Why? Because that defense is freaking ridiculous. What they do in the red zone, you got Illinois running freaking pseudo handoff triple option kind of stuff just to get in the end zone when they're inside the 3 or the 2 yard. It is ridiculous what Ohio State's doing defensively right now. And so with that being the case, you allow Julian Sayin time to get more comfortable. Allow this offense time to get more comfortable and gel. So Ohio State, they're still ramping up. They're going to be a problem in November. They're going to be a problem in the college football playoff because of the fact they haven't even maxed out yet, and they look really good right now. Number 1 team for me right now in college football is Miami. They were off this past week. It's the best combo right now for my money of resume plus eye test. Similar to what I said about A&M, and you could say the same thing about Ohio State and Indiana, quite frankly, all these top 4 teams. I feel really good about any style of game that Miami could play in. Really excited to see what they are here when it comes to Miami playing Miami the rest of the way. Because the problem with Miami, historically speaking, isn't talent necessarily. Last year, Miami didn't lose to Georgia Tech or Syracuse because they were less talented. They lost because they took their eye off the ball and they fell apart on the defensive side of the ball. I'd be very surprised if that's the case for Miami here going forward. But Miami, for my money right now, the best team in college football, even though they had a bye this past week and a couple other teams looked really impressive. So I think right now, of these 11 teams outside of our G5 bid, the majority of them can compete for and maybe win a national championship. So let's recap it. G5 rep for us right now is USF. That game against Memphis, though, going to be really exciting. 11 is Oklahoma. 10 is Tennessee. 9 is Georgia. 8 is Ole Miss. And number 7, Texas Tech. Yes, Texas Tech can win a national championship. Oregon at 6. Bama at 5. A&M at 4. Indiana at 3. Ohio State at number 2. And the Miami Hurricanes capping off our Nothing But Ball rankings at number 1. Hey, make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you're locked in. College football, nothing but college football year-round. You make this show what it is as college football sickos, and we appreciate you for that. Cato on the ones and twos, myself, JD PicKell. Appreciate y'all. Love y'all. We will keep this party rolling. We will see y'all next time.